why some of them are gang oriented? What makes them want to do that?
Well, I mean, everything is imagery right now. Everything is media driven. Watch TV, you watch videos, you watch movies, you listen to the radio. Everything is image driven. It's media. It's like now it's at the all-time high. Most children have phones, cell phones, so they're exposed to everything under the sun.
Right.
Some people use it for positive, and a lot of people use it. They might not even realize how negative it is, because people can control you through different devices.
Right, right.
But so you are a product. You are a product of your environment, but you don't. Like, I grew up in Newark, but I never wanted to do drugs. Like, you would see guys leaning over high, off drugs. I never wanted to do drugs. I saw people drink.
Wait. You're from Newark, man. You have to want to do drugs, right?
No. I mean, that's the perception. Newark is a great place. When you think about it, we've had a lot of great people out of Newark. I didn't realize.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize how I'm from Newark, so wherever I went in the world, I could stand up. I never took a back seat to anybody. I often was confused with being from New York. I said, no, I'm from Newark, New Jersey, not New York.
Right.
So Newark sometimes don't get the credit. But we had the poet laureate, Leroy Jones, Amira Baraka.
Sure.
I was reading some of his books when I was in the military. So we have Newark always had a great history. We had some of the first Black Power meetings in Newark in maybe 65, 66. We had the Black Library. I remember that on Springfield Avenue before the riots, and they burnt it down. We had the Black superheroes and things of that nature.
Wow.
So Newark, they put the system, the media puts a negative connotation on a place like Newark, but all of the money is in Newark. In the state of New Jersey, the most money comes to Newark, but the Newark doesn't benefit from it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we talking politics, things of that nature. More money come in the city of Newark, but the residents of Newark don't benefit from it. The people that work in Newark benefit from it. The politicians, a lot of the teachers. Like, if Newark is more let's say it's a Black city, we might be 55% of the population now, maybe a little bit less, but we might only have 15 or 20, we might have 15% of the jobs, but all the money that's in Newark is benefiting outsiders more than it's benefiting Newark residents.
So what did you guys do with all that money that Zuckerberg gave you in Newark? What did you do with that?
Well, I couldn't. I don't have any of those answers. You would have to ask, you would have to ask the politicians, Mayor Baraka, or some of those people. But being born and raised in Newark, I really don't see but if they ever talk about improvement, I really don't see it.
Right.
Most of the improvement is outsiders coming in, putting a stake in the community, not the actual residents of Newark.
So now you, your last position in the East Orange was as an educator, right?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that. How'd you like that experience?
It started out great. I mean, it was a great opportunity, but it ended. I became disillusioned. In the system, you have a lot of people that's in education, but they're not qualified for their positions. So they have positions. The ones that can handle their responsibility are overwhelmed. The ones that can't handle their responsibility put all of the work on the qualified ones, but they in charge. So wow. It became, it's a who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So if you're in the right clique or the right group, you can be more successful. But it's not about that. It's about the impact with our children. I don't. A lot of our children are disillusioned. They really don't. They don't really care about learning. They just going through the motions of
Well, why is that?
of going to school. Environment, a lot. I mean, a lot of broken homes. You see a lot of broken homes in the system. Single mothers. Sometimes you see single fathers, or you might see single grandparents raising the children.
Right, right, right.
And we have a lot of foreign influx. We get in a lot of foreigners. Well, even Black foreigners. We get in Haiti, Jamaica. We getting a lot of different Dominican. We're getting a lot of students from a lot of different countries outside of America. So you having a big foreign influence coming in.
That's a reason for not learning.
No, I mean you have a divide. You have some, like I said, you have students from America. Then you have students born and raised in the city of East Orange, and you have a lot of students coming from, let's say Haiti, Jamaica, different places. So you have like a lot of different cultures, and they're a little different.
Right.
So they could be just happy leaving out of the house, coming to a building every day. So it appears that everybody want to learn, and they're going through the motions. And then you have some that's actually there trying to really learn and take advantage of the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense to you.
So where with that dynamic, where do you see the East Orange community, let's say 5 years from now?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, the community is functioning. People are still going to school. They're graduating. They're doing well. But you just have I dealt with discipline, so I got to see I saw a lot of the harsh realities of. Let me see. Touch it.
Are you there?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah,
give me 1 second. I don't want to touch it because I don't want it to zoom out. Someone tried to call me.
Oh, you're on your phone.
Waiting for that. Right. Give me 1 second here. Getting all these junk calls. Okay, we should be coming back. Okay, there we go. Now,
I got you right. Go ahead.
Okay, now I lost my point from off the call.
No, it was about.
No, you said where the city would be in 5 years?
Yeah, yeah. In other words, like you have an uneducated population. People are not learning in school. When they get out, they're
not learning on the levels that they should be learning on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of pressure on the educators to teach them, and they're dealing with more bureaucracy. They're dealing with a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with the students learning. But
right,
then you have the students that just they're trying to learn, but some of them are not motivated to learn, and just the level that they're on is different. Like in the cities, it's like we don't have smart children, but that's not true. We might not have as many put in a position to be successful, but we do have a lot of successful students that come from our communities. I'm gonna say out of every graduating class, you might get 10 to 15% of the students that's really successful. Okay. And you might have another 30 or 40% that's just getting by. And then you probably gonna have 20 or 30% that never they washed out almost immediately.
Right. So now we have the COVID-19 and everyone's learning at home. How does that play out in your opinion?
That goes back to the individual. I mean, that goes back to the individual. You can actually learn. This is a great time to get back into self-mastery as the theme of this conversation is, because you learn on your own. So now you have to you studying on your own more. You might go to a site like Khan Academy, or they have all kinds of sites that you can go pick up different lessons on to enhance the lesson that you're working with.
Right.
So you have to learn now more on your own.
Right,
So
right,
you more go-getter. So it's an individual thing. If you're into learning and you have discipline, you'll take advantage of this. If you're not, you're just going to go through the motions. You might have to be on a Zoom call for school for 4 or 5 hours. That don't mean you learn it. But when they
no,
take attendance, you on the call.
right,
You know, so but what I found weird, um, my time in teaching, I dealt with discipline more than I dealt with the classroom, but there's so many rules in place that the teachers have to meet up to all of these different standards that they might have to have the classroom set up a certain way. They got to have a lesson plan. It's all of these things outside of just teaching the kids that take up so much of their time. So they always under so much pressure. The kids not scoring high enough on this exam or that exam. So it's a lot of pressure to be a teacher, and maybe the kids feel they under pressure because they're not eating at home, or
yeah. Well,
they just not up to spec. So it's not what one person can do. It takes the whole village to have an effective school system. But I just found that in the system, a lot of people are more stressed out, and they're just worrying about keeping a job rather than coming to work doing a job.
right. So
And I feel that's unfortunate.
so just in closing, how do you think that came about? I mean, because when you went to school, it wasn't like that. When I went to school, it wasn't like that. And they say now the kids aren't learning, but what happened? It's the same situation.
Well, it's a different relationship, from going from student trying to learn to professional trying to provide a service to those trying to learn. I think we live in a society now. Well, it's probably always been like that. I believe our teachers were more, I really can't say that either, but they could have been more qualified to teach 30, 20 years ago than they are now. But a lot of times, I think what happens in our community is the people from the community don't have the opportunity to work. We have more people from outside of these communities working than people from the community. It's more qualified people can't get a teaching job in the school system, but we finding more people coming from other communities getting hired in our community. And they're coming in our communities and they're not catching any flack. They're just allowed to work. Like as African American, we catch hell in our community where other ethnicities come in our community and it's just a job and they making money. They not under the same pressure that we under.
Okay.
But you have, in order to take care of your family, you have to stay determined and you have to still show up and you have to do the job to the best of your abilities. And it can be very stressful.
Yes, stress is not a good thing.
And you get disillusioned. And when it's no longer fun, if you're not enjoying what you do at a certain point, it'll become more stressful and it could kill you.
Yep. So now, Jimmy, and we're gonna have to wind it up now. We've been on for the short, long time of an hour here.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to share?
Well, my mantra is practice makes perfect, and what you do today determines your future tomorrow. In life, it's a lot of ups and downs, and you just have to be prepared to withstand that. I always wanted to make my parents proud, so anytime I do something, it's about not only making my parents proud. Now I have a family. I have a son, and I have grandchildren. I mean, I'm married. I have a wife. I try to make my whole family proud. So everything I do is about being able to take care of the family, do the right things. I don't believe in getting in trouble. I believe in living, letting live.
All right.
But practice do make perfect. And what we did today determine our future tomorrow. What we did yesterday is why where we at today. I could pretty much say that life is a struggle, but it's worth. So far, I'm still enjoying my journey. But if we could overcome, Dr. Naim Akbar said, in order to come to life, we have to survive the. How is he saying that? We have to. We survive we go into the womb and it's 6 million eggs, and we want one egg survive. So we could overcome adversity of coming into birth, coming into life. We should be able to deal with the adversity in life. Nothing is just given to us.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
We fought to get here, and we fight to stay here and be the best person that we could be. But I always said I wanted to make my parents proud. And every time I get ready to do something, I have to think and make sure I'm doing the right thing. So there's consequences behind everything that we do.
That's true. That's true.
You know, so if I could leave my audience with anything, it's practice makes perfect, and what you do.